So we'll go on to franchise today. So for franchise, I wrote franchise is a structure which a business allows another operator to trade under their name. So what they are trying to say is this: when you talk about franchise, it means a brand. There's a brand, a successful brand that is allowing other businesses or other projects to start using their own name. That is what a franchise is. So the business that is allowing the other business to use its franchise, it's what we call the franchisor. So the business that is buying the permission to use to trade under that brand, it's what we call the franchisee. So the difference between the franchisor and the franchisee is that the franchisor is the owner of the franchise. The franchisee is buying the franchise. Is it clear? So what does the franchisor offer the franchisee? So here it said a license to trade under a recognized brand name. So it means that the franchisor is allowing the franchisee to trade under a known brand, a popular brand, a brand that is
well known.
That is what?
Well known.
Well known. Thank you. So that is about the first one. The second one, a startup package including help, advice, and essential equipment, usually including branding materials. So we're talking about the resources that. Yeah, what?
Producing goods.
Yeah, the resources that the business, that the franchisor, whatever the franchisee has to use, must come from the franchisor. So the franchisor will provide the franchisee all the resources needed for the smooth running of the business. The third one, training. Training in how to run the business and operate the system used by the franchisee. Putting the franchisee through how the business is operated. So it means the franchisor has to put the franchisee through on its operation because the operation is unknown to the franchisee. It's just going to learn through it. So it is the duty of the franchisor to put the franchisee through its operation so it can be successful. The fourth one, a startup package including help, advice, and essential equipment. A startup package. I read it there. Okay, yeah, the marketing support. For marketing support, I wrote, this implies with different trade shows and other branded and promotional materials created by the franchisor on behalf of the franchisee. So what we're trying to say is that the franchisor would also try to use all its resources, all its abilities to ensure that the franchisee is getting the required attention, attractiveness to that business. So that will be done by the franchisor. So the marketing aspect of the business would strictly be done by the franchisor. That's about that. That's marketing support. Then I go to an exclusive geographical area in which to operate. This implies that the franchisee won't face any competition in its located operation. So it is exclusive. Why is it exclusive for the franchisee? It is exclusive for the franchisee because whenever a business obtains a franchise, any other business within that geographical location would not be able to get such franchise. That is what we call exclusive then. So that means if a franchise is being given to, if like McDonald's has a franchise here, so it will only be one. There won't be another one franchise.
Like KFC, Quick Shop.
Okay.
Yeah, they opened other one. It's not the original.
Yeah, so you won't be allowed to trade again under that name anymore. So that is what we call exclusive rights. So that's about that. So what does the franchisee offers in return? So if the franchisor is giving all this to the franchisee, what would the franchisee gives back in returns? Number one, a one-off startup fee. For a one-off startup fee, I wrote fees that has to be paid once. The franchisee's application, once the franchisee's application is accepted. So as soon as the franchisee's application is accepted by the franchisor, the franchisee has to pay a one-off fee. That means a startup fee that you have to pay it once and for all. Two, an ongoing fee, usually based on sales. For ongoing fees, these are recurring monthly fees or with yearly fees. So that means monthly or yearly, there are certain amount of money that you have to pay to the franchisee, to the franchisor. The third one, contribution to marketing costs. Here I wrote, these are payments apportioned by the franchisor to the franchisee on promotional activities. So what we're talking about, contribution to marketing costs here is the franchisee, as soon as the franchisor makes marketing or promotional activities, each franchisee has to pay certain percentage. Certain percentage has to be apportioned to them to support the franchisor in terms of for the advertisement or for marketing activities. Do you understand what we're talking about here? We're talking about things that the franchisee will do for the franchisor. The first one we talked about is the one-off startup. Two, we talked about the ongoing fee, which could be monthly or yearly. The third one is about the contribution of marketing cost. So whatever amount spent by the franchisor on marketing, the franchisee has to pay certain amount will be apportioned to the franchisee. Is it clear, please? So we go to the advantages of franchise to the franchisee and the advantages of franchise, disadvantages of franchise to the franchisee and the franchisor. So the advantages of franchise to the franchisee. The first one, less risk. How is it less risk? I wrote, as it is an already made brand, a successful one at that. So the franchise, whichever franchise you want to buy, is a successful brand. So it is less risky. That means the business is already doing well. So the tendency of failing is minimal. That's why we say it's less risk. Is it clear? We're talking about the advantages of franchise to the franchisee. So it is less risk because the franchisee is buying a business that is well known, a business that is highly successful. So backup support is given. So when I talk about backup support, I wrote the franchisor provides all equipment or resources needed for the business through its own brand. So that means the franchisor will provide the business whatever it needs for its operation. The third one, setup costs are predictable. Here I wrote, as there are fixed fees on all the dealings leading to the purchase of the franchise. So when you talk about a predictable setup cost, because you are buying a franchise, so a franchise has its own fees. All the payments are fixed. It's not the same like you are starting your own business. That certain costs will occur that you are not planning for. But here, whatever cost, whatever expenses you need to make regarding buying the franchise would already be known because you would have gotten a list of requirements from the franchisor. Do you understand? So whatever amount you have to spend to get a franchise is already predictable. You know it, unlike when you're starting up your business, which you might not know the actual amount you have to spend. It's different. Do you understand the point here? The cost is predictable because they are all fixed. Is it clear? Then the last one here, national marketing will be organized. Promotional activities within the country of the franchisee by the franchisor. Just imagine if there's a franchise of McDonald's here and McDonald's has to make marketing or advertisement through the Libyan TV. You know how huge it is. So it's already promoted the brand. Everyone will want to buy. So it's not the same like you promoting your new business that nobody knows. Do you understand? So that is what we mean by national marketing. So McDonald's in Tripoli, McDonald's might be willing to advertise its products in the national TV or in the national newspaper of Libya, because there's a branch of McDonald's now in Tripoli. Do you understand? These are the advantages you have getting a franchise. Now, what are the problems that might occur, or what are the problems a franchisee might face in the course of buying a franchise? Number one, profit is shared with the franchisor. So that means whatever profit you make as a franchisee, you don't take it all. Certain percentage has to go to the franchisor. Do you understand? So that means your return on investment would not be you won't be receiving all the full return on investment. Certain percentage goes to the franchisor. Two, street contracts have to be signed. Here I wrote, meaning the franchisee has to agree on the terms and conditions of the franchisor. So because you are buying a franchise, you are buying the name of a company. So it has to be on their own terms and conditions. So if you don't agree or accept their terms and conditions, you might not be given the franchise. So that means that whatever strict agreement they have, you have to accept it to be able to have the franchise or to be able to operate under that brand. Is it clear? Is it an advantage or a problem? Is it a problem or not? It is a problem when you have to accept all the terms and conditions that the franchisor is giving to you. Is it a problem or not? It is, because now it's not on your own terms, it's on their own terms. What you have to do comes strictly from them. So that's why it's a problem for the franchisee. Sit properly, please. Is it clear? The third one, lack of independence. So when I talk about lack of independence, strict operating rules apply. So it means you cannot just decide on your own in terms of operation. You have to listen, you have to seek permission, you have to ask the franchisor before you could do things. So you are not independent. So you are dependent, your actions is dependent on the franchisor. Is it clear? Whatever suggestions you have, whatever observations you have, it has to go to the franchisor. You can't just take actions. Is it clear? And the last one. It can be an expensive way to start up a business. Yeah, that's another problem. You know, buying the franchise is not just going to be so easy to buy. So it might be so expensive. Unlike when you can make a plan on your own business and operate it based on your budget. It's not budgetary for the franchise or for a franchise. When you're buying a franchise, you have to pay whatever amount that is due. That is how it works. Which means it might be expensive for you, but if you are operating your own business, you might work according to the budget you have. Please take note of what I'm saying here. We're talking about the problems a franchisee might face buying a franchise. The last one here is that it can be expensive. It might be an expensive way to start a business. If you are starting your business, you could start your business based on your own budget. But if you are buying a franchise, it is not going to be based on your budget. It will be based on the request of the franchisor. Is it clear? Is it clear, please? Now we go to the advantages of franchise to the franchisor. So we go to the advantages of franchise to the franchisor. Okay. The first one, fast method of growing. So when I talk about the first one is fast method of growth. Here I wrote, it is the fastest means of expanding organically. Here, the franchisor, McDonald's is going to have a branch here, it's going to have a branch in Tunisia and so on. McDonald's is everywhere, but it is not through McDonald's. it is through other businesses that have bought the franchise of McDonald's. So McDonald's is expanding rapidly without even putting effort. Clear? So cheaper method of growth. That's the second one. Here I wrote, the franchisor will experience growth without really investing on it physically. So citing the example of McDonald's, it's going to continue to expand without investing on the expansion because other businesses are doing that. Do you understand? So it's cheap. It's a cheap way to expand your business internally.
Cheaper than the original.
Yeah. The third one, franchisees more motivated than employees. What are we saying here? Look at what I wrote. Franchisees are managing their own business in the name of the franchisor, knowing fully that failure from their own side becomes their own liability, which is different from the mindset of employees. What they are trying to say about franchisees being motivated than the employees is this. If you are buying a franchise, it is still your business. Would you want your business to fail? No. As a result of that, you are motivated to make sure that the business is successful because it's your business just under a name of different brand, under a name of another brand. Unlike the franchisor having different employees, the employees, they know that it's not their own business. They're just working to earn their own salary. So the motivation is not going to be the same. You won't have the same motivation having your own business or working with other people's business, working on other people's business. You would want to do your business so well. So that is what we're talking about, motivation. So as a franchisee, you are motivated than an employee. As a result of that, it means the franchise will do well, and which will give a good return to the franchisor. So what are the problems you face being a franchisor? Number one, potential profit is shared with franchisee. So that means it's not your branch. Disadvantages of franchise. There. Yes, please. Disadvantages of franchise to the franchisor. The first problem about selling your franchise to the franchisee, please look at me, please. The first disadvantage of franchise to the franchisee, to the franchisor, is that you're going to have to share the profit with the franchisee. Yes, your business is expanding, but the financial return or reward doesn't come to you, it goes to the franchisee. So that means you have to share it with them. Unlike if it's your own branch, your own outlet in Tripoli, if it's your own outlet, that means whatever profit you make all comes to you. But this outlet in Tripoli is an outlet of someone, it's an outlet of an entrepreneur that is using your own name. So you won't expect the entrepreneur to give you all the profits. It's legal, yeah.
It is legal?
Yeah, sure.
Is it illegal or legal?
It's legal.
Why?
It's legal.
You can't take a name of a brand, original brand, and open another like.
That's why we call it a franchise. You would have bought it. You bought a franchise. You bought it from the owner.
Wow.
What a franchise is an acceptance to use the franchisor's name for your business. So what we're talking about here is that as a franchisor, you won't be getting all the profits to you because the business in Tripoli doesn't belong to you. They are only using your brand name. But you're going to get share of the profit, but not all the profits. Is it clear now, please? The second one, poor franchisees may damage. The second one, poor franchisees may damage brand reputation. The franchise is doing well. The company, the brand is doing well. But if the brand name is being sold to a careless entrepreneur, it could damage the reputation of the business. And if the reputation of the business damaged, it is not the business owner that's damaged, it is the brand that's damaged. So this is the problem. So you are doing your business well, but those that are trading under your brand are doing it worst, are not doing well. So that could damage your reputation or brand reputation.
Because the poorer franchises, they open, like they damage the original name of the brand, and the name will just fall, and they're just gonna lose their reputation.
Reputation.
People
Thank you.
just gonna like not buy or like go with them or like work with them.
Yeah. So whenever they see their name, they don't want to associate with them. Is it clear? The third one. The third one, franchises. No, not yet. Yes. The third one, franchises will get merchandise from elsewhere. The other problem you face as a franchisor is that the franchisees might get other goods from other businesses. You wouldn't know. They might sell some goods in your business, in that outlet without your notice. Do you understand? So that's the fourth one. And the fifth one, cost of support for franchises may be high. Yeah, in supporting the franchisee, because you would want the franchisee to represent you well, you might need to spend so much in supporting them. So that means you are incurring more cost as a franchisor. Do you understand franchise now? Any question about franchise? A franchise, like I told you earlier, is a structure that allows a franchisor, the franchisor, to give acceptance or to accept the proposal of the franchisee to trade under its own brand name. And we talked about the advantages and disadvantages. Any question about it? So that's all about franchise and franchisee. Franchise, franchisor, and franchisee. So you can get the stapler now. You can get the stapler.